Come on. Right here. All right. So it's loading, it's taking its time. There it is. It's up. You guys see it, right?
Yes, I see your screen.
All right. So listen, this week's Torah portion is about a man. A lot of people say he's a young man because he's the son of Eleazar, but we don't really know exactly how old Eleazar was at the time that he took over his father's priesthood. But at any rate, this in particular Torah portion is named Pinchas. Okay. And Pinchas means it means the mouth of copper. Okay. His name is Pinchas. And the first part is this pay right here. Oh, wow. Come on, internet. Someone's trying to get in. Let me let them in. It's my Koti Pam. I was trying to get in. Okay. All right. So his name has to do with the mouth. That's pay, right? And then this right here, Nakash, has to do with either bronze or copper. Okay. And then mouth. But it also has this idea of him being a man of he was a man who was dark. He was a dark man. Okay, of a dark color. And I think in some texts they actually say that he's black. Okay. Okay, it makes sense, you know, the bronze, the copper. And so at any rate, last time that we met, it was talking about how the children of Israel were going on their journey. And here it is, everyone. We're literally at the end of the journey in the wilderness. Okay. So let me show you something right quick to keep you up on it so you'll know like where we are in terms of why the teaching is moving the way in the direction that it is. So here we have the final part of the book of Midbar right here. Okay. So we only have these 3 chapters left. Okay. So we're right here. But when we get to Davarim, oh my goodness. Forgive that. What is going on? Not so good tonight. When we get to, yeah, see, there you go. When we get to Davarim, when we get to here, this is the final stop before they're going to go into the promised land. Okay. So when we get here, we're going to be on, this is like a 1-day account. Okay. So prior to them getting to this 1 day, they're having so many problems. Okay. They're having a lot of problems right before they get there, before they get to their destination. They're actually having a lot of death and stuff right here. And there's going to be a lot of war. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of war inside of these chapters, and there's going to be a lot of death. And so we can see why the Most High wanted to provide a way for them to cleanse themselves, because they're going to be around a whole bunch of dead people, not just the people who died among the sons of Israel and their relatives that were dying too. The women, there were women dying too. Nobody was staying, everybody was staying alive. I think it was coming up here in our Torah portion, 24,000 people died, and then the Most High gives a command to give a census of the people in order to find out how many people were left, because he's killing them. I did a study on it before, and I gave some percentages, and I was explaining to you last time that it was because of everything that was going on in the south of the camp. They had a lot of problems in the south. So here we see that the men were actually invited to go to a festival, right? By the people of the women of Moab. And so this was literally like a plan or a plot for them to go. and they don't say it right here, but this was literally a plan and a plot from Balaam, the prophet that we talked about last week. He actually devised a plan to tell the Moab and the Midianites on how to get to Israel. And so the way that they get to them is through women, right? And the women, when it talks about them doing this harlotry, this lisno, okay, it comes from this Hebrew word called zana, and zana has a root in it, which is this is a Zion, and then the next letter is the noon, okay, and that is the seed. And this one, of course, is the it's called a agricultural tool like a mattock or mattock, which cuts the harvest, or it's an implement that's used in order to cut the harvest at harvest time for the seed. So what they're doing is, when we talk about harlotry, or we're talking about anything that has to do with idolatry, the purpose of idolatry is to cut off the seed, okay? So harlotry has to do with the seed and to be cut off. My wife and I today, we were talking about the importance of the Hebrew language. And we understand through our studies that everything that the Most High is talking to us about is always going to be stemmed in agriculture. Okay. This is a huge deal. Agriculture is the key. This is the key to understanding the Torah. Okay. A lot of people don't want to deal with agriculture, right? They don't think that it's applicable. They think, you might be off your rocker, you're living a certain way, and you're living your life by a design. So when the Most High talks about them cutting off or doing harlotry, he's literally talking about the seeds that's supposed to come off of a plant are not going to be there. And it's because what they're going to be doing is they're going to be giving it to, this is two, it's not just with, it's two. It's a strong staff towards the women of Moab. Okay. We know that the women of this place right here, they are practicing prostitution. Okay. When we look at the word Moab, okay, the first part of that word is Mo, and the second part is Av. Okay. So what is Av in Hebrew? Aleph and a bet. What is it?
Father.
There you go. And so we know that a mem has to do with the preposition of from. Okay. So it means from my father. Okay. What do you guys remember about Moab? Who's his mother? Do you guys know who the mother is of Ammon? Or who's the father of Moab? That's a better question. Who's the father? Okay, I'll give you another clue.
Lot.
There you go. So Lot is the father of Moab. Okay, this is his son. Okay, and from what you understand, how did Lot have this with his wife, or who did he have this son with?
He had his sons with his daughters, didn't
Yeah, he had his sons with both of his daughters.
he?
So with one daughter, he had Moab, and then he had another daughter, and the name of that son is not Moab. That son is called Ammon. Okay. And you can hear that word Ammon, which is means people. Okay. So my people. Okay. So he had it with one daughter for Moab, and then he had another for Ammon. All right. So remember, Lot was Abraham's nephew. So for us, when we're looking at the Torah and we're reading these stories, we need to always keep in mind that these people are literally the relatives of Israel. Okay. They're distant cousins. Okay. So Abraham and Lot are related, right? And I think, that was his nephew, right? And so also too, we learned last week that there was another family member that they had a problem with. And who's that family member?
That was Korah?
Well, yeah, but also they were trying to go around a certain mountain. And they sent messengers to the king of where? Edom. Okay. They went to send messengers to Edom. And he said, no, he came out to war against them. Okay. Then they were so concerned. Moab was concerned. They said, like, we need to hire this guy to come in and make sure that they don't come through our land, because they're just going to take over, because they just killed these Emry kings. But see, initially they didn't start that war. Okay. And so these people right here are super concerned, like they're going to take over our land. Okay. So what it is these people that are surrounding them are always trying to fight Israel, right? They don't want them to come into their lands, but the Most High didn't say that I was going to give you their land. All they had to do was just listen and allow them to pass through. And so the Most High feels a certain way about these two families that we're talking about. Okay. So let's deal with that a little bit more than what we have in the past. So what I'm going to do now is, I think it's I want to take you somewhere so it can make sense, because we got to know our history and we have to know what their plan is and what the Most High's intention is. We can find out what his intention is for us if we understand how he feels about the people that have mistreated us. So 25, 26, 20. Okay, here you go. So in the book of Deuteronomy, now let me go there real quick. I'm not going to go into Hebrew. I'm just going to go into English for us for the sake of time. In the book of Deuteronomy, hold on. You may want to write some notes down on this, because you're going to see this theme with inside of the Torah. So let's see, 23. Okay. All right. So here, the Most High begins to say, a man is not about his father's rights. A man is not. Okay, here it is. Why is that not there? Okay. Because in some text, they may not have the beginning of something. Okay. So I think we'll start in 22, the last verse of 22, because they're not showing it. I want you to give you full context. So where it is. Okay. In the scriptures that I have, it actually begins right here at the end of this verse of chapter number 22. Okay. It says, a man is not to take his father's wife, right? He's not supposed to violate his father's rights. Go on. This is the Torah. And that means a wife that he even married, right? Another woman. And I think he's making reference to how Reuben treated him. It says, a man with crushed or damaged private parts may not enter the assembly of Yahweh. A mamzer may not enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor his descendants down to the 10th generation enter the assembly of Yahweh. Do you guys know what a mamzer is?
It's a bastard child.
Stop cussing, Akoti Pam. Every time you're just cursing all the time. Just joking. So, yes, it is. It's a bastard. So he's saying that anybody that is born, and what's a bastard? Let's define that. What's a bastard? From the
child that's born out of wedlock.
Yes. So a child that is born out of wedlock. So if there's no wedlock, there's no covenant. And there's no agreement. There's no bond. There's no sacred bond. So the Most High is saying that if you have a child outside of marriage, that child will not enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may his descendants down to the 10th generation enter the assembly of Yahweh. Do you see how long it takes to get somebody that was born out of wedlock into the assembly of the Most High? That means they cannot come into the assembly of the Most High. They're an outcast. They cannot participate in anything that has to do with the assembly of the Most High. Okay. And that's because of this child is born out of wedlock. So go, yeah, absolutely.
I thought when a man uncovered a woman that was marriage. I'm not understanding this wedlock thing. It sounds kind of Western to me.
Well, it's let's define a little bit more, right? So here it is in English, but let's take it a step further because it is about us learning. Okay. And maybe I'll learn something extra too. So let's click right here and go to 23. Oh, that's the Bible Hub. I was in there today. Let's go right here. And that's a good question, Gil. Right? We don't want to skip over something and just accept it. We want to actually dig a little bit deeper. So Deuteronomy chapter number 23, and we're going to go into verse number 2? Let me see. Congregation, no shalavo, the batsura, the crushing of the severing of the genitals. He shall not enter an illegitimate. So here it is, an illegitimate, which is a mamzer, is an illegitimate birth. It's called a mamzer, and it talks about a bastard, a child of incest. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's a child of incest, and also too, it has a bastard. But let's dig a little bit deeper, because remember we were just talking about Lot and his sons. All right, right. So we have here that it's only mentioned 2 times. It's mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter number 23, and it's Zechariah 9 and 6, talking about some people who, or what they call a mongrel, but a bastard. So anyone who's of illegitimate birth. So let's just dig a little bit deeper. So 4464 is, we'll put it in our little tool that I share with everyone, which is called the studylight.org. You can go there, and this is a tool that's available for you. So 4464? We'll put it in there, and we'll look at it a little bit deeper. What'd you say, Gil?
I said yes, that's for the number.
Yep. Okay, so mamzer. Okay. Mamzer. Okay, mamzer. I say a little bit longer. It's a bastard, child of incest, illegitimate child, but that's what we get from our Brown Driver Briggs. But we're going to go down to the Hebrew and find out. So in the Hebrew, it tells us that it is they just don't give any information except for a bastard. And then down here in the masculine bastard, especially specifically a child of incest. So here in literally bastard in 23:3, which we're reading right now, with the idea of spread out. Okay, to stretch oneself out. Okay, so there's an Aramaic definition to spread out, perhaps collective or mixed population. That was the second time that was talking about. So that was probably a whole bunch of people from that type of behavior. And then finally, metaphor, scroll to Oriental interpretation is the rabbins are used for a bastard. Okay, so yes, it's a bastard. And one, of course, who was born of incest. Okay. So that's what we have. So we know that the descendants that are from Lot are illegitimate. I mean, they are illegitimate. Okay, I got it. So it's the idea, Gil, of not only being illegitimate, right? But what happened with Lot and his daughters was not only illegitimate, but it also too was incestual, right? So they did something, that was incestual, right? They had incest with their father. And of course, that doesn't give them any legitimacy at all. So that's why I think they're probably using that word, because in context, how would they come up with incest? Well, of course, we know that Lot and his daughters had children that were born out of incest. So the point is that Moab and Ammon are the ones who are incestual, and they're considered bastards. They're not legit. Okay, so a mamzer may not enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may his descendants down to the 10th generation enter the assembly of Yahweh. And then he gives this. He mentions his brother. So this is a confirmation of the understanding, is that after he says this about a mamzer, he then begins to tell us about these people. So there's your incest, and there's your illegitimacy right here. These are your bastards. Okay? He says they may not enter. They may not enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may any of his descendants down to the 10th generation, connecting them with the mamzer to the 10th generation, ever to enter the assembly of Yahweh. Because listen what he says, because they did not supply you with food and water when you were on the road after leaving Mitzrayim. So when they came, instead of them offering food and water, they hired Balaam, the son of Beor, who comes from the Aram Naharim, which is in Mesopotamia area, like the Euphrates, to put a curse on you. Okay, they hired him to do that. Okay, and so because of that reason, the Most High says, what they did to you, I'm not going to forget that for 10 generations. Okay, and so what is it about this incest, or this illegitimacy, about the mindset that goes with a person who's born from that type of mind? What would you guys say, according to verse number 4? Do you see a connection between, because Most High said these ancestral people, these bastards. Now you got me cussing, Sister Pam. These bastards didn't give any food and water. So is there a certain type of mindset that a person has if they're these type of people? Do they act a certain way? What's up with them? Is it because of the same blood that's in them from each other?
They seem to be very selfish people.
Yeah, it's very possible, right? So if you think about the daughters, right? So the mindset that they had is, number one, what was their mindset? Do you remember?
Daughters thought they wouldn't have any children because they thought the world was ending, I guess, because of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay, so listen this now. So a lot of times we don't look back at that. We just say Moab, and we'll say Ammon, and we'll say all these different people. The Most High wants us to look at the characteristics of the people. So when you look at the mothers, because that's where they came from, okay, and you look at their father, right, which is Lot. You see that Lot was very ambitious. You see that he went with Abraham, but also too, you see that he was selfish. He was selfish. And how do you know he was selfish? Why would I say that Lot was selfish? How did I come up with that? What do you remember about him that he was selfish?
When it came to choosing land, didn't he?
Girl, go ahead. You about to make me jump out this window.
He chose the better part.
He chose the best part. Thank you. I don't even have to go there. Okay, read in Genesis. He said, when he says, "You whatever way you go, you'll go." He chose the best. He was selfish. Okay, so that's with him. We got that solved. Now let's look at his daughters. Gil said that the daughters were what were they, Gil?
Were concerned that they wouldn't be able to have children.
Right. Or that the world was
no men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it ain't gonna be nobody. So again, you can see that they're concerned about themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're worrying, and they're nervous, and they're panicking, right? And guess what? They make moves without really, they didn't really investigate. They just made some assumptions, and then they presumed upon their father, and they went past. So listen carefully. The Most High has been talking to us like he did on Shabbat about boundaries. Okay. Now look at the daughters. What did they do in terms of boundaries? What did they do?
They had an incestual relationship.
So they crossed some boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and they did in the manner in which they did it. Did they do it openly, or did they do it in a very secretive way?
Well, they got him drunk, and then Did that.
Right. Okay, so now we can see the behavior of the people of Moab. Okay, they didn't talk about the Ammon yet at this time, but in our Torah portion last week, we're still talking about Moab. They're still in that region. So we see that because they're about to go to war. Okay, so that's what we're setting the stage, and we have to look at like what's causing this. And so the Most High is saying someone that's incestual and someone who is born this way, or someone who's a bastard, and someone who has these types of mindsets, they're going to be this way. So the Most High is saying, it's so offensive to the Most High. He's saying not to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. He says down to the 10th. That's a long time.
If you think about the town that they came from and how the people were also.
Yes, thank you. So we're seeing something here, right? So again, in sexual nature, listen. So what would cause, we're digging deep, we're pulling back layers. When you talk about incest, okay, and you're talking about even a child who's a bastard, who's illegitimate, what caused this? What's the ultimate or the drive? What's up with these people? I'm going to tell you, they don't have any restraint. They don't have any restraint. When you're looking at your sister, you're looking at your father, you're looking at your mother. Remember what the Most High just told us? Okay, let me go back. Remember, I told you in my text, it had it right there on verse number 1 in chapter number 23. But here they have it in verse 22 at the end. This is one of the things that we're learning about the Torah, is that the Most High, when he's speaking about something, he doesn't want us just to read it. He wants us to investigate it so we can find out what's it up and what did it say. A man is not to take his father's wife. You see, thus violating his father's rights. So the Most High is telling the children of Israel this, and the reason why he's saying this is because this is the behavior of not what's only with Moab and all them, but this happened with even in the nation of Israel. The Reuven took his father's wife on several occasions. You see, plenty of people in our family, in the Hebrew Israelite and in the family of Jacob, have raped their sisters. See, they have slept with their sons' daughters, as the Most High told us in Ezekiel chapter number 22. So the sexual behavior is a big part of the nature of the people. This is the reason why in our Torah portion, it opens up about them being invited, and these women were sent to them so they can play the harlotry with them and get them riled up, because this is something that's in these people. Okay. So what it is a weak spot. Right. So again, going back to here, the Most High says down to the 10th generation. Right. And he's saying, well, because they didn't give you food and water. People say, well, they were just being selfish. Yes, but there's something behind that. And what something behind that is that there's something that's in them that draws this. It's a matter of, being fearful and, not being able to have any, they're not kind people. You know what I'm saying? They're not really kind. They are selfish. Right. Verse number 5, and then we'll move back to where we're talking about. He says, but Yahweh your Elohim would not listen to Balaam. Rather, Yahweh your Elohim turned the curse into a blessing for you, because Yahweh your Elohim loved you. So Yah didn't love Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He loved Israel. That's the reason why he turned that curse into a blessing, and he would not allow this man to curse us as a people. Going back to the court case that he brought us to on Shabbat, he says, go back and see what I told him. And how did he respond? The Most High is letting us know that I love you. I've been protecting you from the beginning. Verse number 6, you are never to seek their peace or well-being as long as you live. Okay? Never. I don't want you to give them a cup of cold water. I don't want you to help them out in any type of way. I don't want you to seek any shalom for them whatsoever as long as you live. Some people say that's not a loving God, as they would call him. We don't want the God of the Old Testament because he just told you to never seek the peace or well-being of people as long as they live. Does this sound like discrimination to you? Does this sound like hatred to you? What does this sound like?
He sounds like an Elohim who's looking out for our best interests, actually.
Yes, perfect. So he's telling us, and we'll go back to our Torah portion. He's telling us straight up, like, I'm looking out for you. Nobody else, everyone, is going to look out for Israel like Yah. That and when he's telling us to turn your back on certain people, and these are the people that I don't want you to trust, because he knows who they are, and you and I just don't. I don't want you making friends with these people. He's telling us, don't you forget what they did to you. Okay. So all the whole thing where everybody gets around and counting by Yah is not going to work. Okay. From the Most High's perspective, going back to the Torah portion, now we see what happened and why they did what they did. Okay. So these women invited the people to sacrifice to their gods, where the people ate and bowed down to their gods. And it's not the people, it's the men. With Israel, thus joined by Baal Peor, the anger of Yahweh blazed up against Israel because of this. And Yahweh said to Moshe, take all the chiefs of the people and hang them facing the sun before Yahweh, so that the raging fury of Yahweh will turn away from Israel. There's a clue that's found in verse number 4 about Yahweh. Okay, so why is he saying, I want them to be hung before the sun? I asked him, what is it, Yah? Why would you take these people and hang them before the sun? Was it because they worship Baal? Well, we know that festival is the festival of rectums, like we studied before. This is a very perverse and sexual experience for them, okay? So why would he hang them in front of the sun? It's found right here in verse number 4. Why Yah say the sun? The Most High has said the sun is because the way that he felt about the raging fury of Yahweh. Okay. So when you look at this, the Most High is telling us something. He's telling us, I've read it to you before, the Most High is telling us that because, okay, so the fury right here is heat. Okay. So the Most High is mad. Okay. Why is this pen? The Most High is mad. He's heated. Come on. He's heated. Okay. And he's so hot from what they've done. His heat and his anger is equivalent to that which is of the sun. Now, for you people that are in Texas, what's your weather been like?
Hot.
It's been hot.
Hot.
Hot. Heat wave. It's getting hot out here. And when you hit the heat and you're outside, the heat just drains you, right? It's just, you can feel it, okay? It's like it'll break you down, right? It saps all your strength. The Most High is so mad that he says the only way that I can turn away my anger is by hanging these people in front of the sun. That's what I want you to do. And so when he hangs these people, they're hanging up in front of the sun. Who sees them hanging up in front of the sun?
The children of Israel.
Children of Israel seeing them hanging up sun. So when he's hanging them, he tells them, y'all, he says, take all the chiefs of the people and hang them. That's what Yah told Moshe to go tell them. And guess what Moshe did? Moshe said to the judges of Israel, each of you is to put to death those in his own tribe, okay, his tribe, who has joined themselves to Baal Peor. This word right here, join, is an idea of attachment. Okay, it's like attachment. It's like to glue yourself to somebody or to chain yourself to someone. Okay, so they've actually joined themselves. Okay, so here's the deal. The reason why the Most High is saying this is because the people who are joined themselves to Baal Peor is the ones who have, first, you have to have the mind. It starts in the mind. And what happened is they were invited to a party, a sacrifice here of their gods. And guess what? When they invited them, Did they tell them what they were doing before they invited them, or did they get there and it was a surprise?
I don't think they told him. Mhm.
These women invited the men, because the men were they started to whoring around them. The men began whoring with the women. Okay. So what it was is they put the women out there to capture their attention. Once they captured their attention, the women invited the men. Once they got their attention, then he said, they told them, you're coming to the sacrifice to our gods. They didn't get there. It wasn't a surprise. The people ate and they bowed down to their gods. So when Israel did this, they joined themselves to Baal Peor. So Yah's letting us know how you get attached to your idol. Okay, you're going to get attached to your idol by the first thing is you're going to be seduced. Okay, that's how it's going to happen. He said they began whoring is because they got seduced. It's not just because of the women. The women just represent the idea of seduction. Okay, once you get seduced to doing something, more than likely you got invited to somewhere, and that is to a church or somewhere. Okay, usually when you go to an invitation, there's always like literally a party. Once you get there, okay, this is the reason why they're inviting you. They're getting you there. They seduce you first, then they invite you, because the overall goal is to get you to join with them. That's what it is. So when someone says, hey, we're just having a little, Christmas party, get together, it's not a big deal. When you're going to that party, what you're doing is you're joining with their God. That's what it is. Dawid, you're tripping. Are you serious? Are you telling me that I shouldn't be going to parties that have to do with just, pagan stuff? Absolutely. You're participating, right? So that's what it is. Let's flip around and let's don't make it Christmas. Let's make it Gil. You and I get invited to go to somebody's birthday party, Mel's birthday party, and they say they're going to a strip club. Huh? Right. Let's keep it 100.
Yeah.
All right. And so me and you know what's up. So when we get there, right, the moment that we go in, the moment we decide to go is the moment that we joined ourselves. You see? So this is not a spiritual thing. This is physical. You understand? So this is what happens. Today, a lot of people celebrated the 4th of July. And they go to those parties and they go to the barbecues and they do all this stuff. So everybody and everything that party represents, they're joining themselves to that. And that's how Yah is talking to us. So we can try to, discount and say, well, it's innocent. I didn't eat any pork, but I just went to be supportive. I can't begin to tell you how many times I had to tell people no on certain things. Okay. Because I know what the truth is. The truth is if you get an invite to somewhere that these people are serving their gods. Now, a lot of people think, well, because they don't have any statues and images when you get there, then you're not serving a god. That's not true.
No. Because the God could be physical, like going into a strip club and watching these women.
That's the God. That's the God. That's your God. Okay. But remember that we've been learning that a person's behavior tells you about their God. So if these women are whoring and they're seducing, then you should know that Baal Peor is a seducer. And that's the reason why the Most High was so hot. And he said, I need you to take them and hang them right now.
I have no other God before me.
You don't supposed to put nobody in front of me. You don't supposed to put a woman, a child, no other God. So Yah is very jealous for Israel. You see? And this is still today. He hasn't changed. Okay. And so then we see here, I just want to bring that out. And then you see that he told the Moshe delivered a message. Each of you is to put to death those in his tribe who have joined themselves. Okay. And so they know who it was that went to this party. They know who was going. They find out. Was anybody snitching? No, everybody's telling what it is. Did you go? Yeah, I went. Come on, let's go. You did. Let's go. No. Oh, you're dead. Oh no, please save him. Don't let him. Come on. He's just a child. You're dead. And just then, in the sight of Moshe, the whole community of Israel, as they were weeping. So I asked myself, the Most High, why were they weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting? Yah just explained it to me just now. Because when they went to go get these people, remember, it's 24,000 down in verse number 8. When they went to go get these people, okay, and these leaders and these men and these sons and these fathers and these nephews and brothers, when they went there, and probably some women, who knows, people begin to weep. I'm painting the scene the way it is. They're at the front of Yah's tabernacle weeping and crying, probably begging for the lives of these people. And as they're weeping and crying, a man from Israel came by bringing to his family a woman from the Midian. Now we got a woman from Midian. We're not only talking about the women from Moab, we got a woman from Midian, which, by the way, when I say Midian, I think about Moshe's father-in-law. He was a priest of Midian. You see? So there's a conspiracy going on. Okay? And so we need to understand, so if we attend a funeral at church, we could be joining ourselves to the God of that person. Very yes. If you sit there and you dine and wine with them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you know they stopped talking? I went to my mama's funeral, okay? And guess what? They got mad at me, right? Because they told me to get up there and say a Christian verse out of the Bible, and I didn't. I read out of the Hebrew, and I read it in Hebrew, and I translated it, and they got mad as all get out, H to the E to the double L, hockey sticks. They got so mad at me. I blew the shofar, they got mad at me. My aunt, her sister, my mother's sister that I grew up with, didn't talk to me for over 3 years because I did that for my own mother. See? So, yeah, it's going to be like that. So here it is. They're not only dealing with the women from Moab, but they're dealing from these other women from Midian. And when Pinchas, the guy who's we're talking about, when the son of Eleazar, the son of Aharon the Kohen, saw it, he got up from the middle of the crowd and he took a spear in his hand and he pursued the man from Israel right into the inner part of a tent, where he thrust his spear through both of them, and the man from Israel and the woman through her stomach. Thus was the plague among the people of Israel stopped. 24,000 died in the plague. So go hang the people, and I'm going to still hit the people. People are dropping dead in front of the Most High because the acts of these men, you see, dropping dead. Now, we're going to continue to talk about this a little bit later on this week. I do want to end with, do I got enough time? No, I don't, unfortunately. I don't want to rush the Most High's word. So, as we can see, okay, this is critical. There's a part of Israel that we don't want to forget. We don't want to forget about our sexual being and how it's used. The Most High is hard on Israel when it comes to this type of crime. Okay, so we saw that, hey, you know what? No bastard, no illegitimate child is coming in here. Sex, no incest, sex, no restraint, no discipline, sex, being driven. The Moab going to go with them and eat and drink and go to a festival of rectum, sex. The Midian woman, sex. A man should not take his father, his wife, sex. Okay, we don't want to miss that, because that's part of the energy that we have, and it has to be kadosh, and it has to be set apart. because Yah's interested in continuing the family. Yes, Koti Pam.
When I think about mamzers, I also think about all the children that are born in Israel who are mamzers.
Yes.
And I'm thinking a lot of our people don't know, they don't know the consequences of what they're doing by having all of these children out of wedlock.
I'm trying to tell you, sister, like what you just said is so profound, it's very powerful, because what we don't understand is Yah doesn't change. Those children, and look at the behavior that got those children here. My brother got like 12 kids with like 6 different women. My older brother, he got 12 kids with six or seven different women all over the place. He got kids that pop up, and I don't even know that